There's a Nina Simone quote I always remind myself of when I'm recording and like making music. She's like, as an artist, it's our duty to reflect the times we're living in. So for me, when I thought about the rat race and why it makes sense to like really craft this, it was because I know that we live in a time where our generation is very much like that. Like we're actually thinking about on a regular basis, like, I'm not really trying to be in the rat race for real.
Yeah.
At the same time, we have a whole generation that still actively listens to music. Let's say millennials and people who are a bit older who are like, nah, like this is the way things are though. This is what like the American dream is. This is what life is.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's changing. That's changing.
Right. And then you got a generation under us that are very much like,
I can stream and
work.
Yeah.
Like work for them, like other people. Like you mean to tell me I got to get my check from them? Like,
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Highlight Reel. I have a guest today who is here from Flint, Michigan by way of Indiana. And he's about to drop his album called The Rat Race. We got my boy Jelani.
Yes, sir.
What's good, man?
I'm good, man.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Good.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
On The Highlight Reel.
You in my city too, yeah.
I mean, Cincy with it.
I wanted to say first off, really quick, thank you for coming to my city because you live in New York.
Yeah.
But and I was like, I would come to you, but I don't be in New York all that often. So I was like, let's figure it out. But when you said you wanted to, first off, you had reached out and said you wanted to be a guest, and you said you were willing to come to me. I said, dang, this is stuff I'm not used to. So I appreciate you for that.
For sure.
So yeah, man. I kind of want to get right into it because we've been here for a minute.
Yeah. Waiting
on waters, bro.
Waiting on water.
So I kind of want to get into it. So
yeah,
you got this album called The Rat Race that will be dropping very soon.
Very, very soon.
And I want to first off ask how excited are you for this?
Man, this is it's probably the most excited I've been for a project. Other than when me and my brother used to make freestyle mixtapes, putting the phones next to each other and stuff like that. Like, you just be excited off that. But in terms of crafting something and putting it out into the world, like this is the most excited I've ever been. Because it really has been like everything into it. Love, passion, a couple tears, which is different for me. So it's like, I'm geek for it for sure.
Because, of course, as I was preparing for this and everything, I feel like even though the album is not out yet, I think I can already resonate with the name of it because I do feel like a lot of what most people do is kind of a rat race. It's like, bro, I want to do this, but here's this. I want to figure this out, but I got to deal with this. That's kind of something that's been very consistent with me in my life. So I almost feel like even though it hasn't come out yet, the song that you have sent me, I'm thinking, okay, these are already resonate with me. So I'm looking forward to it. Like, what are some, and I already told you I have a favorite song. Basically. There's a song on the project called Galaxy Lane. Make sure you check out the whole album, of course, but make sure you check that song out. Definitely. I'm really liking that. And I feel like you were talking about your family, of course. And we were talking earlier about how you felt like that was specifically for your family. But I also think that it's something that it humanizes you and it's something that I can still, it makes sense to me because we all got different families, but it's like, how do you make these situations work from your family?
Yeah, man. It's I love that you bring that song up because I mean, I think to your point, the whole project is really a reflection. I call it a mirror. Like, it's more than an album. It's a mirror that's asking you these questions. Like, what are we chasing? Who's chasing us? All right. Is what we're chasing actually going to be worthwhile? Things like that. But I think it allows us to look at ourselves, but also look back. And how do we get, let's say you're in the rat race. How do we get in this race in the first place? Right. What's preventing us from getting out of it if we do want to get out of it? So I think to speak to the family piece with a song like Galaxy Lane, I think in every project I make, there's songs where I'm like, oh, because some of my closest friends may be from Louisiana or from Arkansas or California, but we talk and I'm like, oh, we all kind of grew up the same. I know that it'll resonate with other people, but very specific things, even Galaxy Lane, which is a street in Indy I grew up on, even that is something that I know, oh, my mama and my, like, you know, my nana, she was here, but like my siblings, they hear that, they already are knowing it's painting a picture for them in a different way because they were actually there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, because when we were talking about that earlier, I think that's always cool because when you talk about people that know what's going on, it's like, whoa, he's talking about me. It makes that connection for them feel that much stronger because as they're related to you, it's like, oh, this is how he felt, or this is how he saw it. We didn't even know that, but now we understand how being in proximity to him, how he viewed it and how it maybe changed him, impacted him, different things like that.
Exactly.
So you touched on some of the questions like, what are we chasing? Is it worth chasing it? Things like that. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. So the questions, because first off, when you sent me this, so he had sent me like information for his album, and shout out to Tyshaia, who we also gonna talk about. We have to talk about
executive producer.
We have to talk about her. She basically helped. You said she put this together.
Yeah, she executive produced the whole.
I was looking at this. I was like, yo, this is some serious stuff. Yeah, man. So the question you said, what are we running toward? What's chasing us? And what happens when we look to our right and decide to stop? So I want to ask you those 3 questions then. So what do you feel like? What do you feel like you're running toward?
Man, I think that answer. I think I'm gonna give you a consultant answer, but it depends.
I felt like that was coming.
It depends mainly because, and I think the project touches on this a lot. I think it's easy to be like, oh, well, now I was running toward, let's say, money in this season, and now I'm running toward purpose or something like that. It's easy to feel that way, but I think the reality of it is it does change so often, right? It's we're stuck between these voices that's like, hey, run it up, or hey, we need to slow it down and be more intentional. So like for me, when I think about what I'm chasing on like a regular basis, ultimately it is like peace. You know, if I'm thinking about
that's a good answer.
So that's ultimately what I'm trying to find is peace. I think me trying to understand peace a bit better, which is also talked about in the project, is the journey that I'm still on. Because it's like, yeah, you could be chasing peace, but like maybe the idea of achieving peace is not chasing anything at all. Like that whole thing, right?
Like you chasing peace,
right? Okay. You know what I mean? So it's like even me saying it is like a, does that make sense?
Exactly.
But that's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Because a lot of the time, it's like, what are we running toward? I want to say the same thing. I want to say I'm chasing peace, but there's often a lot of turmoil and just a lot of things that you have to work through, whether that's self-inflicted or it's just the result of the circumstance you were brought into. These are things that you have to deal with until you can live that peace that you speak of. But I know a lot of people are kind of, that's why I think this will really resonate with people, because it's, as you said, the rat race. I remember I was on a podcast not too long ago, or a little while ago at this point, but I had said something along the lines of many people before us were used to, and maybe even conditioned to, having to work for however long, I would maybe even consider it too long. And then you stop working and then you can't live after that. Whereas I think a lot of people within our generation, but like some that are older than us and many that are younger than us, are probably thinking, nah, I'm bowing out of that. I don't want to do that. I would actually like to live my life because we don't know how much time that we have. And I don't want to be kind of building someone else's dream if I don't have to be doing that.
Exactly. No, exactly. And I think that's why we're in such a special generation. That's why I think there's this, and I probably said this in another podcast before, but there's a Nina Simone quote I always remind myself of when I'm recording and like making music. She's like, as an artist, it's our duty to reflect the times we're living in. So for me, when I thought about the rat race and why it makes sense to like really craft this, it was because I know that we live in a time where our generation is very much like that. Like we're actually thinking about on a regular basis, like, I'm not really trying to be in the rat race for real. Yeah. At the same time, we have a whole generation that still actively listens to music. Let's say millennials and people who are a bit older who are like, nah, like this is the way things are though. This is what like the American dream is. This is what life is. Oh yeah, right? That's changing. That's changing. Right. And then you got a generation under us that are very much like,
I can stream and
work. Yeah. Like work for them, like other people. Like you mean to tell me I got to get my check from them? Like, when I could just talk to in it. So it's like, there's this, I think it's an inflection point, you know, in society right now where I'm like, oh, I think being able to put out a project like this and really speak to some of those ideals, which in my mind is like a lot of people realizing that this is a system that profits off of our exhaustion. ultimately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it's a system that profits off our exhaustion and we technically have the choice to
participate or not,
participate or not, like, is that a choice we want to make, you know? So,
like I said, man, it's a little triggering. It's a little bit, because because again, as we were talking earlier, how there's a certain field I'm trying to get into, right?
Right.
And the way some people maybe used to look at it was, this is my life, and I'm gonna do this for this reason or whatever.
Right.
Whereas I am looking at it as a vehicle for the thing I love.
Exactly.
And I think ever since I've heard that from whoever I heard it from for the first time, I was thinking, wait a second, I've never thought of anything like that. And to me, that is participation in it, but really using it to my benefit. It's like, this is what I have to do to let me get something out of it so I can actually enjoy it and make it worthwhile for myself, instead of just saying, I hate, like, there's no reason why I'm doing this or not a significant enough reason. Whereas it's like, no, this is the reason you do this, so then you can enjoy that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think what we talked about with that is like a great example. And I think it's tough to have that today because we live in a world of such extremes. Everything is, where I'm either 100% entrepreneur, I'm not doing nothing, blah, 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 or no, I just do this, like, I'm just working my job. That's all I'm doing. And like, there are a lot of course, multi-hyphenates in terms of you doing multiple things from a creative standpoint, but also multi-hyphenate in terms of life. Like, I can work and do these things and do that. And I can also recognize, and I think that's what, even how I structured the project with the 9 to 5, it's like, a lot of it is focused, me saying, hey, I'm writing this right next to you. I know a lot of times I'm running this same race, but I can still critique it and have my own opinions that, you know, I do probably have the chance to jump off and make that choice. So
yeah, because I think I like that too, how you said this is kind of someone that's running with you. I'm on this same path with you, because like you said, so basically, you know, chasing cheese, and you have to, like, from I thought it was clever from a literal standpoint, but saying that, you know, do I want to run it up or say, walk with me? It's okay. So there are two options.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, people that know me are probably thinking, you know, run it up, because I'm always working. That's maybe one of my flaws or whatever. It's just something that I know is true about me.
Ambitious.
Right.
You know, yeah.
But then I can also understand the walk with me. It's like, man, look, take our time. This is life is a marathon, which you also have in one of your previous albums. Yeah, somebody said life's a marathon. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But it's just having to, I think the fact that you have to choose is a little hard for people, because it's like, why can't I have both? But I think sometimes in order for you to have one, you maybe need to pick the other. Yeah. So then you can have the one that you really want.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Because, for example, a lot of people say, you know, in your 20s, just live it up, make your mistakes and all that. But some other people are saying, no, use your 20s wisely. That way, after that, you can actually reap the benefits. Yeah. You hear a lot of one, you hear a lot of the other. Which one do you actually do? So, because a lot of people want to be told what you need to do. Exactly. But you have to make a choice. And I remember seeing someone say, basically, you have to pick. You're either going to live like this and have all these benefits, or you're gonna basically just throw the time away, and then you'll say, okay, now I'll start the work. Yeah. Pick one, know that this is what you're missing out on, and just move from there. But that's the choice you have to make.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting too, because part of me, it's like, that sounds great when I be needing a motivational video, but in reality, it's like, it's just not that simple. Yeah. It's just not, or more so, it is that simple, but it's not that easy. It's more of what it is. And I think the song I put out called Simple is really, that's the whole idea. It's like, a lot of this stuff is very simple. It is kind of like A or B, or like you choose, but it is, I think people kind of underplay how the difficulty of actually making the choice and then continuing to make that choice every day. Yeah, you can make the choice for a week. You can say like, know what, I said I'm gonna lock in on this. I'm not gonna worry about the other stuff. All right, cool, I'm gonna do that until the next week you see your friend mention this, or you see something on social media, and now it's got you like, you know, starting to chase these other things. And let's say you were in a walk with me type of season, it got you starting to pick up the pace, and now you running before you know it, and you're in the same race you were in from the beginning. You know what I mean? So,
bro, like that's again, because just from all the information that you sent me and then hearing the name of it, I was thinking this can make sense to a lot of people because they feel like they have to make a choice. Yeah. And it's like, which one do I do? This is what I've been doing, but how do I get out of it? Yeah, exactly. Or how do I continue to do this so I can finally get out of it? You know what I mean? It's just the choice that you got to make and the choice that you need to make. Sure. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that this is the first project that you're actually dropping under the name Jelani.
That is a fact. Yeah.
Why is that?
Good question, man. So yeah, man. I'm for those who don't know, my rap name beforehand or my artist name was Graphene, and the whole reason that even came about was because when I left college in 2020, I ultimately went to this company that is like a consulting company called McKinsey, where they, it's kind of very corporate-y. They end up scrubbing stuff, like making sure stuff. And I saw something that was like, pretty much whatever your name is on while you're here, like we can own. And me not knowing how corporate work, right?
Oh,
they're likely saying that whatever you create, like as a McKinsey employee, like for the company, becomes like our IP or something, right? Is what they were saying. My mind, I'm not reading between the lines.
Yeah, you thinking so? If I'm Graphene, y'all gonna own it? Oh nah, I need.
If I'm thinking anything I put my name on, because they said anything your name is on, so I'm thinking, oh, my real name's Jelani. So I can't put that on what this is because they're not about to own this.
Oh.
So that's how I even went about saying, okay, I got to have a different name other than what my real name is. Because like growing up rapping, it was just Lonnie, like my nickname back home, right? So then that's when I ended up looking up, hey, what's the strongest material in the world, pound for pound, found Graphene. It's like, okay, I like that. People don't know what to do with it yet, but it's this. So I ended up going Graphene. The reason I changed it to Jelani was ultimately, when I think about a lot of what we were talking about with like the rat race and like kind of jumping back and forth, a lot of times you can feel like you have these identities you're trying to jump between. If it's, oh, I'm running it up financially, it may look like I'm being this one person versus creatively, now I got to be this other person. It's like, at the end of the day, all of it is me.
Right.
And if I'm gonna bring this to you all, you're listening to my music, I want you to know that, no, this is Jelani. The same person that you may see that was playing football, the same person that might be working, in tech or whatever. This is the same person making this music because I'm putting my real life into it. I'm not making up stories and like, shout out to people who do that well, but like, that's just not my style. So like that made me say that part being like, okay, yeah, let me make sure it's me. And then the other part was like, I just thought about like, oh, if somebody was to say Graphene on the street, I'll probably look around like, who they call it?
Yeah, but that's not a word you hear every day.
You don't, so right? So it sends out, but it's also like, I would look around versus somebody said Jelani, I know it's me. And whether you know that because of know me for the music, whether it's a book I end up writing, whether it's whatever else, at least I know you're hearing it as me. You know what I mean? And I'm going out as that. So
because personally, I like the fact that it's, you're using your name because I think sometimes when you come up with a different name or, use a different name, that's a character you have to portray. 100%. And I think that can become very exhausting. Whereas my name is Tyshaia, and I think it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
I've met some people with my name. Some people will tell me it's not as unique, but for the longest time, I didn't know anybody with my name.
Same.
And then I don't know any men with my name for sure. So whenever you see my name or you see me, I'm not, acting as anything.
Yeah.
The person that you see on this podcast is who I am.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that makes it so much easier for me to just be, because I don't have to try to be anything. I just am who I am, and you can accept it or not, or appreciate it or not, or whatever. But I don't have to put on a facade or put on any kind of mask for you. I just am who I am. So when I saw that, I said, okay, maybe this will make things a little easier and maybe like release a little pressure.
Yeah.
Or it could add pressure for some people, but I'm thinking this is your name.
Yeah.
You probably feel most at home with that because you've had it your whole life.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. No, and exactly what you just articulated is another big, like, it's a moment for me that I'm like, as you said it, I'm like, light bulb went off, because it was like, that is, I haven't been able to articulate it, but that's a big driver behind it, which was like, creating this character was necessary. Like Graphene, extremely necessary in the moment. I probably wouldn't have jumped off the porch without it in terms of making music, right?
Okay.
I probably would have been like, I don't know. I don't want my name. Because when I started really diving into music was at the same time where this initial dream of football was dying. So like, since that was the same person, I probably wouldn't have never got to this point. But now I've kind of grown out of that cocoon, let's say, into where, okay, I can claim my name and kind of rock that way.
Very nice segue into football because I think we need to touch on the fact that you went to Cornell, and you played football. To me, that makes me think of the high school I went to. It was very hard and very tough. Academically, it was very rigorous, right? But then if you played a sport, you still had the academic work with the sport on top of it. And then with Cornell being an Ivy League, I don't know too many people that personally went to an Ivy League. So when I hear that, I'm thinking, I know a lot of people assume you're like a genius savant. Not saying you're not a very intelligent person, but that is also another label that probably comes with pressure. But you did play a sport, and you said that dream died. Why is that?
Yeah, so I appreciate you bringing it up. Yeah, I went to Cornell. I was extremely footballed out, like athlete, the student athlete, as folks would say. But no, I mean, for me, I bring it just slightly before Cornell, and then it'll make the story make a bit more sense. So for me, it was like a lot of folks growing up in Indy initially, and then into Flint. I did like have good grades growing up and all of this. Like I had all A's growing up, all of that, like fortunately. But for me, even with that, all of the examples of people who look like me that were doing something in my mind were either rapping or you're playing a sport. So for me, this whole idea of getting my family out the situation they were in, still were super tied to those. So even when it comes to how I got to Cornell, it wasn't a traditional, I wasn't somebody who knew what Cornell was for real and was, other than Cornell notes, because they told us that as little kids. I didn't know about the Ivy League like that. I just was like, hey, I'm going D1 from a football standpoint. I called every coach in the country at the D1 level. Cornell was one of the people who picked up. Ended up raising money to go to the camp, got to Cornell. I went there looking at it kind of as a business trip, if I'm being honest. Like, it was kind of like, oh, I'm going here because this is what people do before they got to go to the NFL. Yeah. So even when I went there, fortunately, I was in a hospitality program there, which is a really good program. Met some really, really good friends. Some friends some of my best friends from Cornell and all of that. So it was a good experience. But when I was there, I was very much like, dog, how can I get to the league? Because that's what pays off. We didn't have NIL. So it was no money until you actually make it to the league. So that's really what ultimately for me, I ended up playing well. I started, my sophomore year, became a captain, which is probably the biggest honor for me. Got some awards and stuff.
Play safety, right?
Play safety.
Smacking people.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. No, I was like that at football. Like y'all can look that up, especially, you know my name now. Yeah. So. But I ultimately, I even structured it to where I ended up taking like extra classes and stuff. I graduated a semester early, but didn't walk because I was like, I still want to walk with my team. I'm just graduating so I could fully focus on training for the league my senior spring. Went down to Dallas, trained for the league. Came back day before the pro day is when COVID canceled everything.
Bruh, COVID changed a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, dog. So it canceled. We were literally getting ready to you stretching and stuff the night before. I'm about to audition for, the NFL, and COVID canceled everything. So for me, when I speak about COVID and me being with Tyshaia and us being with our other friends in Ithaca initially, and then we spent part of it in Kent, interestingly enough. Yeah. A lot of the football was, not even football, but music was the only thing that felt similar to football. You know what I mean? She bought me an interface. My mom bought me a mic. I was in there able to just rap and start to feel like it was similar. Yeah. But that morning of an identity, the morning of not of course an activity, but really a dream, was something that I'm still dealing with today because I didn't look at it as something. Grew up in the church and spiritual. So for me, it was like, oh, well, God didn't want that to happen. Let me move in and reframe it. Where in reality, it was something that actually oh, that's a dream that died that you got to deal with. You know what I mean? So that's where I say I didn't know it at the time, but that was an actual dream that died. Yeah. And if I would have I was really vulnerable at that time. So if I would have just jumped in with the same name, I probably wouldn't have got to this point. I don't think.
Wow. But it seemed like I don't want to say the transition was easy, but when it seemed like the one thing that you loved kind of, as you say, died or kind of, fell off, let's say like that, right? there was another dream because you put out what was Black Boy?
Black Boy.
Yeah.
2020. That was COVID.
Exactly. I'm like
That was right from there.
That's the same year. That's so you say you're about to go train, and then within that same year you drop a project, and you had just got some tools basically to be able to do that. Yeah. So it was like you kind of dived into that. Yeah. And then here you are, what, 3 projects later?
Probably like now 4 projects. Yeah. You don't include no ceilings type stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Like that's
so it worked. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it worked out.
It definitely worked out. And I think that's where, and I used to say this in like as a like way to avoid the subject, but now I actually truly mean it. I did look at like what I was going through as kind of a first world problem relative to what was going on in COVID at the time.
Some real awareness.
So for me, like I always had that perspective, and I always had the perspective that like God gives us different vehicles, for our purpose. Yes. One of which was football, right? I got teammates that, to this day, I like to think that me being a leader, a friend, a teammate to them was much more important than anything I was actually doing on the field in terms of like making plays, catching an interception or whatever. I can respect that. Okay. So I think my purpose really like in terms of leading folks, but also like being there for other people, helping other people see themselves as something more than what they were seeing. Like the vehicle was football, batteries die in cars, like, you know what I mean? You're not like, whatever it is. So for me, it was like, all right, cool. That's not that vehicle. What other vehicle allows me to feel like, okay, I can use this for the purpose I feel like God got for me. So.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I love hearing that because, of course, as one dream dies, there is something else that will probably have to take its place, or there's you have to find purpose in another thing. Because as we were talking earlier, you are currently an artist, a rapper, right? And that I like to and can use to whatever. Yeah. So it's always cool to me whenever I can talk to other artists because as I was trying to tell you earlier, I don't try and disrespect those that do it on a very consistent basis to say like I'm a rapper. But I do feel like when I'm really on my game, I can be nice with it. I can be nice, but I can also understand some of the things that you are, going through whenever you're writing or some of the topics you may talk about, because some of the topics I see within your music is like things of identity, trying to chase greatness and trying to be something. Because you have something in one of your songs, it was like, I'm just trying to be somebody, not trying to be a nobody. Yeah, exactly. Right? So when I'm listening to stuff like that, I feel like I hear very similar things to what I would say in my music because it was like I'm trying to make my life. I'm trying to make my life happen. I want things won't always go your way, but these are the things that I'm striving for. Yeah, exactly. And how can I make this happen? Because I'm trying to take my family from one situation to a better situation. Right. So this is the vehicle that I'm using to do it. So that's why I feel like I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Exactly. And I think to your point, like, I think we have a lot of, and I love the full spectrum of hip hop. I think fortunately, like I got some friends and I got like some family who are like, nah, it's only like the golden age. And I got some people who like all of that, is trash. It's really just the new stuff. And I think obviously all of it has its place and is necessary. And I think there's a lot of rap or hip hop generally that is necessary because it's talking about a place that a lot of people want to get to. But there's not a ton of artists who, it's either people talking about a place that people want to get to or speaking about the struggle as a past tense. But there's not a lot of people who talk about, hey, what about, I'll always talk about I was poor. Yeah. But like people not talking about just the regular, everyday stuff. I think that's why J. Cole is so popular. Yeah. Right? It's the idea of him saying very plainly, like, nah, dog, I'm having like emotions. Like I'm a human, dog. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm curious for you, just because I heard from you where you was like, you kind of, how you prefaced it. What would make you feel like you saying, I'm a rapper or I can't rap would be disrespectful to artists?
Because let's say there's someone that is always clocking, they always go into the studio, they always clocking in, they always really putting in those hours. The only time I ever really put in time like that was during the period where I was doing basically a rap exercise for myself. Because when I was younger, I used to feel like all I could talk about was love. So I said, okay, I want to try and push myself to talk about anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
anything. So there was 100 days, and I did take some time before the 100 days started to write some stuff. But once those 100 days started, there were days where it's like, I have to have something by tomorrow or tonight. I need to just write something. And there were times I wanted to quit and all of that. So I that was when I was the most consistent with it, I think, ever in my life. I mean, I was writing, I think, almost literally every day. Yeah. Every day. Whatever the circumstance was, wherever I was, whatever came to me, I was writing it down. But there are people that have done that for a sustained and for a consistent amount of time, longer than that. So I don't want to disrespect someone that does it to that extent, when I kind of write when I feel like it, right? And it's like, if I'm inspired, cool. But I might not be inspired for 6 months. Yeah. And then I write a verse. Yeah. And then I go back and I say, yeah, I'm a rapper, but you've been writing a verse, or you've been writing 3 verses a day for 600 days. Yeah. It's not the same. Like, let's say I pick up a basketball, and every blue moon, I'm going crazy in the gym. Right. Compared to someone that is literally waking up. First thing they do is dribbling the ball until the last thing they do before they go to sleep is dribbling the ball. Yeah. It's not the same work ethic. So I feel I don't want to disrespect those that do it on that level, because I don't, and I never have. But it's always been in the back of my mind. Yeah. Like all my friends that, as I was telling you earlier, God willing, one day, if everyone I know that raps, and I end up getting to a point where it's like, I want to hop on your album, or maybe not sound disrespectful with it, but I want to do a song with all the people that I know that make music. Yeah, because it's something that I've always loved. My first dream was to be a rapper, so that's why that is something that has always been in my mind. But I was like, okay, what are some things within rapping that I loved and I like speaking, speaking about things, speaking to people, whether it's metaphorically or literally in the flesh. Right. I'm speaking to people, and then I still get to meet the artists. Like these are kind of things that I realized in college. If I'm not going to be the one giving you the music, I can still be around it or around the people that make it, learn more about them, what they do, different things like that. Yeah. So that's kind of why I am like, maybe I won't call myself that, but know that I like to. And when I do, I have the ability to be kind of solid with it. Yeah, so, you can be nice. So that's why when I'm talking to rappers and things like that, and they say they get writer's block or whatever, I'm like, I know what that's like, because I've had times where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Write about that. Because before you know it, you're writing about the fact that you don't want to do it, and then another idea comes along, and then you could just flow from that. Yeah. You could flow from that. Because one thing something that was funny was, it's not a critique, but when I was listening to your album, I don't know too many, or when I was listening to specifically Life's a Bar, and some of the songs that you sent me, I don't think there are too many songs that have like 3 verses, but I think that's kind of how music is kind of exactly the way it's going. I was like, it's a 10, but I can understand why maybe you wouldn't, because when you write 3 verses for a song, it takes time for each verse, and then these 3 verses that you took time to write are all on this one song, and you have to do that for 100 more songs. That's 300 more verses. Yeah, and I think even thinking about it differently, at least how I think about it, is more of, I respect the lyrics too much today to put 3 verses on a song, and now I'm not giving the 3rd verse a chance to be heard because people don't have that attention span. I get that. You know what I mean? That's really the thing for me. That's hard. I respect the verses I respect every bar way too much for me to be like, oh, because I think it's nice and because that's the music that's the hip hop I like. I like 3, big versions, like now I'm not being mindful of like people's attention spans. Most people only gonna listen to maybe 10, 15 seconds, maybe. Okay. And if they like that, then they'll listen to the whole song if it's not too long. But the attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter. And for me, I'm still very big on, I'm trying to make soul food. I'm not trying to make microwave music, right? Good point. Okay. So when I look at a 2-minute song, that 2 minutes is going to be very, very different though. I'm still going to make it to where, hey, you got that. It's like taking a vitamin. Like you still got a lot in that little bit. Yeah. But I'm not going to play myself and be like, nah, but I'm going to force a feast down their mouth and they don't have the appetite for it. You know what I mean? Well said. Well said. So, you also said that you kind of trying to give them like soul food, right? Soul food. That's interesting because I was going to say the music that I've heard from you, a lot of it sounds like kind of soulful.
Yeah.
Like you use samples, you use some samples, and then
I love samples. Yeah.
How do I say this? Sometimes you hear music and it sounds like music, but then you hear some music and it sounds like a movie in a way. It sounds there's more layers to it. It's not just a beat. It's like there's a story. You could tell that someone was playing this instrument and whatever emotions it evokes and everything like that. Yeah. Because even in Galaxy Lane,
that's a big
bruh. What? I mean, dude. So I guess I wanted to ask, do you purposefully do that because you feel like it's gonna bring something out of people or bring something to people?
100%. I know that people, I think, especially with rap, tends to be two camps of people in terms of what they hear first. You're either hearing the beat first or you're hearing the words first in terms of how you're listening to it. Some people are listening. I'm like, is what he's saying? Am I connecting with that? Some people are listening and they may not even catch really what you're saying to the second part because they're going off of the beat and the vibe in which they're in. So for me, I always think about like, because I've gotten the question, like, favorite rappers and all that, or like, do you admire any rappers? And it's like, I have a challenging situation with admiration to where I always be like, I don't admire nobody, but like, whatever. Okay. That's like some stuff I'm working, my therapist.
Okay.
But I think there's certain people like a Jay-Z, love the way Jay-Z picks beats. I think that's probably one of his best skills. Yes, he can rap without having to write something down. Like, cool. That's not that's not as impressive to me though as the ability for him to pick a beat for a song and then craft the song to where, if somebody else could get that beat, but it's not gonna sound like that. And it's not gonna, you know what I mean? He has a really good ear for that. So for me, I'm not like, I pick Jay-Z beats because I don't resonate the same way, but I spend a lot of time listening to beats. I spend a lot of time and I listen for feeling. Like, to be honest, it's like, it has to catch me. Like Galaxy Lane beat caught me. And I had to stop and rewind it and say, is this really like what I'm hearing? So like, the whole goal is like, can you see what I'm saying? Is that what I'm trying to get across to people? And that's either seeing it in your mind or like, if you close your eyes and like physically see all of the different things, and then naturally you start trying to bring all the other senses into it. For me, it's like if as many senses, if I can get you to feel like, you can touch what I'm saying, you can taste what I'm talking about, you can feel the main feeling part, then I'm doing my job because now I'm making it more than music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, listen to you, man.
How I view it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I also wanted to ask you about the growth that happened between your most recent album and the Rat Race, because you dropped Life's a Bar last year in 2024. So for you to drop the Rat Race this year, because obviously one of the first changes I noticed is the fact that you changed your artist name. So I realized that, but there's usually something that is changing or, you're growing as a person, of course, in between that time. So what are some of the major changes that have happened within that time? Yeah,
it's a great question. Oh, wow, man. It's, you said the name change. I think that's a big one. I think I dropped Life's a Bar May 2024. I changed jobs. I got engaged to Tyshaia in February of this year. So that's a huge...
We still gonna touch on that.
Yeah.
I promise you we gonna get on that. I promise you. Okay.
So that's a really, really big one, of course. I also, the things like I read like the Bible end to end during this period of time, which informed and influenced a lot of the project. If I'm being honest,
end to end.
Yeah, so like
that is some serious reading. Okay.
So reading the Bible was a big one, right?
Yeah.
I think I think ultimately, therapy is another big one. Trying to think if I even did. Yeah, I wasn't even doing therapy before, or when I made Life's a Bar. So I've been doing therapy like weekly for, probably since at least November of 2024. So that's another big one. Just ultimately, I've become a more vulnerable human because of these different things. I like to think with every year I get a bit wiser and ultimately better, right? Yeah. I'm big on like, the reason I keep all of my projects up, like Black Boy was made on Audacity, where I couldn't even hear myself rapping. Like I'm rapping and I'm like hitting end and then going back and listening to it. But I keep it up there because I know, one, is out there, it could touch somebody. That might be somebody's favorite song, whatever.
You said Life's a Bar was made on Audacity?
Not Life's a Bar, my bad. Black Boy.
Black Boy, okay. Black Boy.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Black Boy.
Okay.
So
Growth. That was years ago.
That was the first stuff that came out.
Yeah.
Right? It was from Black Boy. Black Boy on Audacity to A Thought and a Half being on Reaper.
Okay.
And then, Life's a Bar, this project with Logic and like upgrade equipment, but also just get better.
At the craft.
It's just, for me, it's like looking at my freshman year highlights versus a senior year highlight tape. Like it's gonna be better. So I think a lot of that is a lot of that is what's going on. But I also think I hit this age now too. I'm 27. Yeah. And for folks who know from a music standpoint, that's a very specific age. 27 club, like
for a lot of
right. But I think it had me, just because I've always been so in tune with music, it has me also just, you're thinking about life in a lot of different ways. I think at the age you're like just past mid-20s, like but you're not late 20s yet, or at least you don't want to feel like you are. So it's a weird point in time, I guess.
I get you. I feel that, and I'm 26, so
you know what I mean. You're right there. You're right there. So it's like I don't know. It's interesting, and I think ultimately, the goal for anybody who's been following me or who's just now getting on the journey is that you listen to this and then you can go back and you can say, oh, I understand how Life's a Bar influenced this. I understand how A Thought and a Half got you to this point. Yep. I ultimately understand how that little black boy from Black Boy is now the man that is Jelani that's creating the Rap Race and speaking to you today.
Sir.
So,
yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. So also when I was prepping, I thought about doing something. I thought it was gonna be probably kind of corny, but I was gonna be like, so here we have a black boy that had a thought and a half to,
that's literally the thought process though.
Yeah. So I was gonna do that, but I think it's cool that you were able to run through them like that too, because of course, if you drop one project in your first project 1 year, I will hope that 4 or 5 projects later that it's something that's changing. It's something that's different. I will hope so. So it's good to hear that is happening in your music. So now, the part I wanted to get to, one of the very important parts I wanted to get to was the fact that you have a beautiful black woman in your corner.
I do.
Right? I am so happy for you.
I appreciate that.
For that. But something that has been so interesting to me about that is, and I don't want this to sound like it's trauma speaking, so I'm gonna try and say this, but it's like you say Tyshaia's name so proudly. You say it in your music. She's involved in the things that you do. Being on the outside of that, seeing that, I'm like, man, this is powerful. Like this is powerful stuff because y'all are a team. I truly believe that y'all are a team. But to me, I think I would have some fear behind that, honestly, just because like. You said her name in your music. She's through and through involved in the things that you have done. I mean, she executive produced the album.
Exactly.
It's like, she is involved. Yeah. She is involved.
Yeah.
I would think that there's a level of fear with that just because she's so involved. And I think naturally people will have a fear, like, because I feel like you're so confident in the relationship that you have. And I'm not trying to turn this into a relationship talk necessarily, but people are not always as confident in their relationship to be like, yes, this is my person. They did this. So have you ever experienced any fear around it, or like, has that dissipated? I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean,
like, what are your feelings on it?
Yeah, it's a good question, and shout out to Tyshaia. But
I see that coming. Right?
Yeah. I think something I always go back to is that fear and love can't like exist in the same moment. I don't think they can even exist in the same like realm generally. Like I can't generally always be fearful if I love this person or we're in a loving relationship. Same thing with the project. I can't really be scared. All right, if I love it, right? So I think I say that to say, like, have I ever been like, is this gonna work out or not? Yeah, but we've been together since we were 15. By the time we hit...
That's a minute.
You know what I mean? By the time we hit 30, we've been together as long as we've been apart. That's not that far away.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's really like, we've been locked in for a long time. And you don't get Jelani You don't get graphene. You don't get jet for people who know me from playing football without Tyshaia at all. So for me, there's no fear there because she's very much a part of anything you're seeing, the way I carry myself, down to the way I dress, the way, I'm approaching things. She's very much a part of that.
Yeah.
So like for me, there's no like fear, there's no shame. Is hey, this is who I'm rocking with, and for me to propose, I also look at marriage in that way of like, hey, my parents was divorced. So for me, I'm like, hey, I think about getting married as in a factor of I don't ever want to get divorced.
Yeah,
so for me, if I'm saying I'm gonna get on one knee and propose to you, we have to be locked in that way.
Of course, absolutely.
And that's how we've been. We both think the same way. And she's the most creative and probably the smartest person I know. So for me, it's very easy also to be like, if I was gonna hire somebody, I would have chose you. So if we can partner together, that's like the best of both worlds for me. If I'm being honest.
I'm so happy, man. Like I'm happy to hear that because just seeing how involved she's been in your music, in your life. When I think of you, I think of her. When I think of her, I think of you. Yeah, that's a team, and there are many people that have that kind of team in their relationship, and because again, seeing you talk about her within your music, seeing y'all be involved in the in the other's interests, that takes such a level of confidence because, of course, both of y'all are planning to go places, and it's like there's so much that there are so many people that could try to tear that down or just things like that. Like there are obstacles that could arise, and I'm not trying to speak fear into it, but when I see it, I'm like, man, I personally I've never experienced anything like that. Yeah. So when I see it, bro, when I saw that she executive produced the album, because first off, I was like, that's cool. You said so I think y'all are both talking about how it took a while to name the songs and then to sequence them. Those are some of those like artist things that I'm like, I'm into as well. And the fact that she was like in the trenches with you on that. Some people, they have their partner and it's like, yes, this is my person, but when it comes to that, they're not involved. But it seemed like y'all are both deeply involved in what the other is doing. So it's just, quite frankly, it's just interesting to see. I'm like, wow, this is what this could be like when you have a partner and a teammate.
Man, and it hasn't always been that way. That's the thing, right? The other projects, with Life's a Bar, she played a huge part of that. But like she did the cover for pretty much all of them. She shot the picture. That picture on Life's a Bar, she's taking that picture, right? This one she didn't take the picture of, but she's creative directing everything. For A Thought and a Half, she took that picture. For Black Boy, she, did it. So she's always been a part of it. I think a lot of it was me at first being nervous because, to your point, I think that's probably the word I would use rather than fear. I was never fearful, but I was definitely nervous, mainly because I have a tendency to overgive and then I'm very protective of the people who are close to me, their time. So for me, it was more of like, I know how she approaches things. She's very much an all or nothing person, just like I'm an all or nothing person. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Yeah. And I don't want to bring her into something and that's taking her potentially away from something that she could have been spending her time doing, right? I'm very like, I have, that's a challenge that I face,
that
right?
Makes sense too.
So with this project, us having the real conversations, ultimately Penwood, where it says Penwood Productions, that's me and Tyshaia. Us being like that.
I'm like, what's Penwood?
Penwood is us. So it's like Penwood, because this is what we're trying to do. Like, this is us. Penwood is the business. This is what, hey, if you ask us tomorrow what we could turn around, like just go and just do, and we got the money to do it, it would be that. So if we're going to be like that, let's approach the projects we're doing, starting with this one, in that way fully. So, yeah, man.
Dude, it's just, I'm in awe of it. Like, when I see it, I'm like, this is true teamwork and belief in one another, dude. That is something that I hope everyone can find. Like, I really hope people can find that, because it seems like it allows you to flourish and it allows you to try stuff. It's like, okay, this might not work. It might not be perfect, but I know that you're going to be in it with me and you're going to help me try to do what I can with this. Because then when you have that, it encourages you to even try to do it.
Exactly. And that's all the time. Tell you, when we talked about it a little bit before, like this idea of community and team right? Like for me, that was something that was really missing when I talk to my teammates, either when they're saying it directly or they're saying it more indirectly. That's something that a lot of, whether you were a former athlete, whether you were in the choir, whether you were whatever, this idea that, oh, we're all working toward this common goal, it's really hard to find that, especially I think for Black people post like college, let's say, when you just go out into the real world, quote unquote, and they just throw you out there. It is really hard to find a team and people who you feel like, oh no, we're aligned and we're both pushing toward this. We have a similar goal. We're all thinking this way, right? We have similar drive, which is the toughest part. You know what I mean? So like that is something that like we realize we got to be that for ourselves if we're also having challenges finding it. And the goal is that we're able to, of course, be that for other people, but then other people more and more starting to be able to be that for themselves and for the people around them. So,
dude, man, look.
Yeah, bro.
You have said a lot. You said a lot, but I'm glad to have been able to, pick your brain about some of these things. Cause like I said, I've met you and my friend Nigel because of Tyshaia, but then I've also been listening to your music and I'm like, cause we've only seen each other in person. Is this twice now?
Twice.
And the last time was 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can also see myself in some of the things that you're doing. So it's just a lot of things that I can see about what you do and about who you are that I'm like, I can respect, appreciate, and I can admire that. So that's why I'm like, I'm glad we've been able to do this because, again, I'm someone that is also trying to get out of the rat race myself. But it's like the task of picking between running it up and taking your time knowing that it's a marathon, like knowing when to put the, pedal to the metal or when to just be like, hold on, let's take our time. So it's good to be able to pick your brain about it because I think that this is something that other people can resonate with, but also, identify with as well. 100%. So yeah, man, this has been good, man.
Yeah,
this has been good.
Bro.
So before we wrap, I want to ask you, what is it that you want people to take away from or learn from, or when they listen to the Rat Race, what do you want them to be thinking about?
Yeah. Man, ultimately, when folks listen to the Rat Race, I want them to ideally be fully present is the goal, right? You're able to actually go on this journey that I'm taking you on, starting from this dream that's happening all the way to the end where you realize that these choices you need to make. It kind of takes you through a day in that way. So I think, ideally you're present, you're able to see kind of my day-to-day, my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings on this race itself. And then you're able to, again, it's able to be that mirror for you. So you're able to reflect on it and then look back at yourself and say, okay, how am I approaching this? Am I doing the same thing? Running it up to the point of exhaustion? Am I walking too slow to where I'm not going to get to the point that I'm trying to get to? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to leave the people of the highlight reel with?
Oh, man. Hey, lead with love. That's what I always like to say. Lead with love. The giving hand is never empty. That's one other thing I always say. And then socials and information, again, follow me on Instagram, je.lani, which is Lani, and then the number 2. Follow the highlight reel. Don't just like
Appreciate
this clip. Actually go and follow the highlight reel. You know what I mean? Like follow Jariah and the highlight reel. About this you know what I mean? Okay. Like, follow that. And then, ultimately, man, like really tap into the project. Like whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, I promise it's worth the time. And if it isn't, you listen once, cool. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't for you. But I got a high confidence that this is something that'll impact you for sure.
Well, man, I want to say again, thank you for being a guest
for sure
on the highlight reel. I'm glad that we were able to. I'm glad that first off, again, I'm glad that you reached out to me and were willing to come to me. I'm not used to that, so thank you for kind of making it easy for me. That's why I was like, let me make this easy for you, right? So I thank you for that, and I also want to say thank you to the listener and the viewer of this episode of the highlight reel. I hope that you learned something about yourself. I hope that you learned something about the rat race. And I hope that you've been able to use something that we've talked about to encourage yourself to continue to live the life that you want to live, do the things that you want to do. But with that being said, that has been your episode of the highlight reel. We're going to look over there.
Yes, sir.
And that's it, y'all. That's the end of your episode. Peace out, man.